Okay, so this will be a very interesting video because we're gonna be showing you how to set up Visual Studio but for Nvidia GPUs. This is a little bit different because in the past you can see a lot of videos online configuring Visual Studio for web development, C++, normal environments, right? And what we're gonna be doing here is a complete environment that you can have your system, your machine, it could be your laptop, your MacBook or your Windows, doesn't matter, and then you have another computer which is your workstation or server, could be local or it could be on the cloud, and then you can set up environment that you code in your computer, then you deploy your code Dockerize on the server. And here is very important because all that we're gonna be using is Nvidia Docker containers. We're gonna be utilizing the GPUs, and we're gonna be installing normal tools that Devops use. I made a list, it's very easy for you to follow, so let's get into it and we can check step by step. So here we got a list of, first we're going to start with prerequisites. This thing is that what you need to have in local or in the host. For example, you need to have a server or an extra computer. We're going to be using, in this case, a laptop, and we're going to be running a code wherever you are and then deploy it to that local machine in your local environment on premise, or you can deploy on the cloud. So this will be your computer server that you will deploy your code. The second thing, you need to have Linux server with everything configured for deployment. So you need to have a Linux version, Ubuntu, that's the one I usually recommend, or CentOS already installed on the host machine, could be local or in the cloud, but everything needs to be installed properly in order for that. So when you launch the code from your machine, it will run perfectly, and then you get the output back to you, and then you get the output back to you. So on the host machine, what you need to install? First thing is you need Nvidia Docker containers, you need the Nvidia drivers, you need CUDA, NGC containers, Python 3 installed, and Anaconda. Anaconda is very important because it will install a bunch of packages like Jupyter Notebooks, TensorFlow, but we're gonna go in that later because we're gonna be using TensorFlow but in containers. So this will be a full environment stack that you can install on your laptop and then deploy on a server machine, but it's focused on deep learning, TensorFlow, utilizing the GPUs. Okay, with that said, then you have the Windows machine, could be a Windows, could be a Mac, this is your laptop, and then you can have Termux. This is an application called Termux that I use to connect multiple SSH terminals at the same time. Pretty handy to have. And of course, we're gonna have, if you're on Windows or Mac, you need to have an Ubuntu machine running on a VM, or you can just install it on the store. For example, on Windows, you just go to the store and download Ubuntu. We're gonna see that right now. Okay, that's are the things that the pre-requirement that you need to have, and then on Visual Studio we're gonna be installing the extensions to make your life easier. The first thing we're gonna do is install Python Debugger, Python Autocomplete, Jupyter Notebooks, Linter Python, To Do, Docker, Remote Service SSH, this is very important, Docker Compose, Ansible, and KaiPython Autocomplete. With that setup of tools, you will have your environment ready to work and deploy your code on the big machine, on the server, in your local, on or in the cloud. Okay, so let's get started with it. So let's start with step by step. We're gonna do it from the scratch on this machine. So server, extra computer. Now we're gonna check that I already have a server built in, and if I go here on my local network, you can see that I already have a server running right here, and this server comes with everything. This is based on rate, and what allows me is that I have, for example, here you can see I have a Ryzen Threadripper Ryzen, and I have 24 cores. What I did is I split them, and with the GPUs that I have inside, 2080 and 2080 Ti's, then I create a different virtual machine that they're running all the time. So for example, this one here comes with this virtual machine I have with two 2080 Ti's. This one has one 2060, and this machine do not have any GPUs. So you can have this virtual machine running on your back if you're having local, and that is pretty handy just to log in and you don't need to have that workstation on you. For example, you can just connect here, and this machine that I have, for example, if we type VSMI, you see on top, you can see that we have this machine running 24/7, and we have two 2080 Ti's running on the background. Okay, if I want to use it, I just can use it from here. If you have a small Mac, let's say the MacBook Air, or you have a light laptop that you can connect from everywhere, and it's pretty handy to have because you can always have access to this powerful machine and not to be paying for the cloud, which is very expensive. Okay, so we're gonna close this. That tells you that we complete then the first requirement, which is to have a server local or in the cloud. So the second option is also related to the server. In that server, you need to have Linux. In my case, I use Ubuntu with everything configured for development. So let me show you really quick what I have on that machine. So if we go again here, and then we said that we need to have Nvidia Docker, and that's what we're gonna try. Let's put this here, and Docker version. And then you can see that we have Docker version built-in is 1903. The way I check that I have Nvidia Docker installed, because if you see I run Docker images, you will see that I already have NGC containers, so Nvidia TensorFlow, which is a container that I download from Nvidia. So I have these two requirements now. So we complete Nvidia Docker. We complete here, we see that we have the Nvidia driver, this version 440.958. The CUDA version, we're gonna confirm that too on the server. And as you can see, we got the version 10.1, it's perfect. Then NGC containers are already confirmed. Python 3, we're gonna click on Python, we're gonna check Python 3. And there you have it, got the 3.6.9, that's the version I always use, and Anaconda. So we got Python 3, and then we have Anaconda, which is not really important right now, but yeah, this is something that maybe you want to install in future. So Anaconda is ready to go, and then we can let's close this for a second. Then we're gonna move to the second thing, Windows 10 tools. Since we're using a laptop with Windows 10, the few things you just need to install. Terminus is the terminal that I told you already. It's a tool that you can connect to multiple SSH at the same time, and it's pretty handy. I use it a lot. So we're gonna go to the store. And here, this is funny. Okay, we're gonna go to the store, and then here you're gonna type Terminus. Okay, so this is the app. Just install it. I already have it. So once you open the app, it gives you you can create your account, an email, and password. And then what it does is save all the hosts. For example, if I want to connect to my machines and I just want to, if I want to have different hosts, because you don't want to open terminal and type every time SSH and then the name of the machine, or create a doc file for that. This is pretty handy actually, because you can create a host. You can even create groups if you like. Oops, I closed the app. So here is pretty handy because you can create a host. Let's say, for example, I'm gonna name this one the William machine. This is the one. Can I put the IP address? And then the username and the password. All right, and everything else is safe. So once I click on that, it will ask yes, and as you can see here, we are inside the machine. Okay, as you can see here, let me open up a little bit more. As you can see here, we're inside the machine that we were running before. If I type, for example, Nvidia SMI, we can see that we are inside the server, but this time without user interface, just using SSH from Windows, which is pretty handy. That's actually the way that you always will connect to these server machines. You can see I got two 2080 Ti's, and now I'm inside the server, just having it here. You can add another host, and that way you can have multiple machines. Let's say you have different cloud services running at the same time. You have different servers on the cloud, on Google Cloud, or Amazon. You can have all of them are organized by groups, which is really, really handy. Okay, we're gonna let this open here, and then we complete the first thing, which is Terminus. Then we need to install Ubuntu 18.04 in our host machine, in this case the Windows laptop. For that, the same thing. We're gonna open the store, and then we're gonna type Ubuntu. Alright, and here you got the different versions. For example, 18.04, 20.04 was the latest one that was released. I do not recommend you to use this one for now. Just go with the 18.04. Once you do that, it's like a normal app. Just download it. In my case, I installed it already, so if I'll launch it, as you can see here, it's opening, it's trying to install the Ubuntu 18.04. And then finally, we're going to install Visual Studio. This is pretty simple. Visual Studio Code is the one we want. And just look for it on the web browser. And you can download for Windows here. Okay, once you have that installed, then that's what I have right here. We're gonna start installing we're gonna start actually installing the extensions. This thing is what we're gonna make your Visual Studio Code pretty nice and pretty handy to work with. And we're gonna be focused on creating a perfect environment for Visual Studio that you can code from everywhere you are, and then deploy the code into your Google Cloud services, Amazon, whatever cloud service you're using, or your local machine. Which, by the way, you can save a lot of money if you have even one server with one GPU just to test. And if you need to scale more GPUs, then you can go ahead and pay for the cloud services. So here we're going to install the extension that I'm going to be working with, and we're going to see how we're going to actually, on Visual Code, we can write the code and then deploy through SSH automatically in the editor, which is amazing. It will deploy the code to the machine. Okay, let's do that. So Visual Studio extension, we're going to start installing the extension here. Python debugger, that's the first one. We just look for it. So we go to extension here at the bottom, right, and then we're going to type it. Python, and this one is pretty much one of the best. You guys see that there is already at 19 million downloads, almost 5-star. So it's a linting, it's a debugging, it's a multi-thread remote IntelliSense, Jupyter notebooks, a lot of things, a lot of packages already come with this Python extension. So that's the first thing we're going to install. You let it go with that, and then we're going to install the Python autocomplete. Kite Python autocomplete. This is one of the best. I already have it installed in here. This will automatically suggest code that you want you write in your Python code. Okay, the third one is Jupyter Notebook, and I write it down here because maybe you don't have it, but it pretty much on this new version of Visual Code is already came included with the Python debugger version, so you don't need to install it. But let's look for it. Okay, we're gonna install that, and then linter Python will reinstall it, and this one is really something that you really need, but it's very handy to have the to-do list, the to-do extension. So let's see if we have it here. Yeah. So what you can do with this is, just say you're in the middle of the code, it's like you're writing something and then you remember that you want in future to add something. So you put the to-do and then add new feature here, and it will remind you, and you can skip through the code and search for what you need to upgrade or add new features later on. Okay, so that was to do, and the very important one is Docker. We want to have all Docker's extension you can install. The first one is Docker, the normal one. It makes it easy to create, manage, and debug containerized application. This is the first one you want to install, and then we're gonna look for Docker autocompletes and builders that help you when you're creating your Docker files. Okay. So Docker 1, and then we're gonna find Docker autocomplete. So we're gonna install Docker Compose, and then we're gonna install, this one is very important, we're gonna install the remote server SSH. This is where you're gonna deploy your Visual Code server on your local server here, and then once you're running from your laptop, you can deploy the server. You can deploy the code or write the code on the server, but you don't need to be logging into a server. Okay, so we're gonna be looking for that SSH, and we're gonna install this one as well, remote development. That's the one we're going to install. And you can do a lot of things. It's remote Kubernetes when you need that, but for now we're gonna need the server. Okay, so that's completing we already did remote server SSH, we did Docker Compose. Now we're gonna install Ansible. Ansible is it's a very good tool that you can use for deploy to multiple machines at the same time. Just to give you an example, let's say you have your the code or bash script ready for an environment. That you want to work. All your dependencies, all your software, everything ready. You can export that as an Ansible file, YAML file, and then deploy to thousands of computers at the same time. So you don't need to do repetitive tasks that go one by one. You can automate that, and there's a bunch of things that actually you can do with Ansible, but I'm not gonna go over the details on this video. But on Visual Studio, we should install that. I use Ansible a lot. and we're going to install Ansible, and we always, if it's available, we're going to install the name of the software you're going to use, the programming language you're going to use, and then the autocomplete, which help you to speed up the process a little bit. So we're going to do that too, and pretty much that's it. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to start with the funny part. We're going to connect to the server, write a code here in your laptop, and then deploy the code utilizing on the server the performance and the quality, the performance of the GPUs. Because remember, this is Visual Studio focused on deep learning, TensorFlow, utilizing Nvidia GPU, which is the best way to develop for deep learning. Okay, so we're going to go to this remote thing here. See, it will show up once you install your extensions. Almost all of them, they will show up on the left side. So you're gonna open here, and then you're gonna add a target. Here's when you add a target that you want to use, and you remember that we have already a computer core we call William machine, and that machine comes with 22080 Ti. That's the machine that we want to use to deploy our code. And this is something crazy because the good thing with this is that you can have a very light laptop, let's say, and at the end using another machine, the horsepower of another machine, but on the screen of this laptop with Visual Code. And it gives you the idea that you have the hardware on the laptop, which is really, really amazing. Okay, let's do that. So we're gonna go SSH, then we're gonna type the name of that machine, add, and then the IP address. Okay, we're gonna click on that, and then it's gonna ask you for what to store the SSH key. Usually on Windows and macOS it's always the same. It's a hiding folder called that SSH. Just click enter, and it will load. It will save the file. Okay, now here you can see host added. Now you can connect. So now, as you can see here, is trying. Oh, it's asking for the platform on the remote server. We select Linux. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. And then it's asking us for the password. Press that, and then as you can see here on the logs, it's trying to install the server. You select a remote platform, this will be stored. Okay. And now we have another window inside our machine. So now here you have in your laptop, and you can open a new file, you can open a terminal, and I'm going to show you that we actually inside that machine. If we go to terminal, you see that says William DLBT. So this is crazy. You have now for the first, so now here you have on your laptop a very powerful local machine. It can be a cloud service, a cloud machine, and then you have the terminal. You have all the tools that you already installed on your local Visual Code. It will export it and work perfectly on the other machine. So to give you an example right now here, you don't need to use even a different application to install a terminal for Windows. Everything is built in right into Windows, and you can have multiple Visual Code opens on your laptop and work properly. So if you type Nvidia SMI, so you can see here on the terminal, let me open up a little bit, you see the video card is right there. And now I'm coding inside this like if I were on my laptop, and I have an extra 8 cores memory, and you can add even more memory, and you can have for this computer have 22080 Ti, but it can have even more. Okay guys, so that was all for the video of today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed doing it because it was really simple. It takes less than 10 minutes to set up a machine from scratch, and you can just go use this as a small device. It could be a laptop, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be powerful, and you can connect and use a horsepower of your server in a local on-premise or in the cloud. Let me know in the comments if you like this video, if you want to see more videos like this. I'm planning to do a follow-up video of this when we're gonna be actually downloading code and deploying on that machine using my Windows laptop. I think this is one of the most useful ways to deploy and develop for deep learning, because you don't need to do all those crazy installations on Windows that at the end is not the best operating system for deep learning. Because if you want to install Nvidia Docker containers, NGC containers, everything is optimized already for Linux. And having a VM inside your machine, you need to pass through the GPUs, too many headaches. Better is just to have a different machine, and then use your laptop has I call it as Skynet, that you can just deploy your code everywhere you want. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Once again, remember, subscribe. It's always free.